Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Rick Asbury, coming to continue our Bible study into the book of Zechariah. Well, I had a little bit of fun. I went to do come on to do my podcast, and the internet was out, and so I said I didn't know what was going on because I had just been watching TV or whatever was on in the other room, and I said, well, but anyway, I'm back. All right. So, 25 minutes late, sorry, but so I said I was going to do my podcast. If the internet come back on, I was going to do it. If it come back on between now and 6 o'clock, I was going to do my podcast. I was going to do it. I didn't want to miss a day. I really didn't. So, alrighty. Well, we're in the book of Zechariah, and we're going to be starting chapter 6, right? And so today, we're going to be looking at verses 1 and 2, okay? And I got prepared to do my podcast, and then that happened with the internet, and so I didn't know how long it was going to be, and then they said there was an outage reported in my area. I went, wonderful. So, I was all ready to do it, and so anyway, but we're back. We're going to do it, all right? So we just finished up chapter 5 of Zechariah, and these chapters, let me just tell you how they are really short. They're really short. So, today, verses 1, 2, and 3 go together. So I'm going to do my best. I don't know if I'll get to verse 3 today, but I'm going to do my best to at least do verses 1 and 2, and maybe sort of hint at verse 3. Okay? So if you can hear me, give me a hey or something, all right? I see one person's on here, but I can't see. If you're commenting, I can't see it. So I hope you'll say something to see if I can see you comment. Anyway, today is had a good day so far today. I worked in the yard. My sister came and cut my yard. And so I did all that, and I was pretty tuckered out when we got done. So I had about an hour and a half to sort of get myself together, if you will. And then after all that was done, got a little bit of rain to go along on top of it. That's good. Need more. You'll never hear me complain about rain. Okay. So, trying to see how many people is going to come on here. I'm trying to give a little bit of time. Since I didn't come on at 4, people might think I'm not coming on at all. So, anyway, it's been a good day here in Bellwood. Before the rain, it was probably about at least 80 degrees. And humid. So, of course, in our part of the world, humidity is tough in the summertime to go along with all the heat. So, I like spring of the year, because it's cool at night but you don't need your heat. And then it's warm during the day, not really like overbearing warm, but So I like this time of year. So, but I don't like summer to come in after winter. I really like spring. Excuse me, but that's one of the unique. That's one of the unique things we have here, living in the South. So, it can be, this time of year, before Easter anyway. It can be, 70 one day and 30 the next and all that. But I think we're past all that, so it's going to be completely. So, well, somebody was on there. I don't know if anybody's listening to me or not. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up or something, if anybody's out there. Anyway, I'm going on. I hope you can hear this, or guess you'll get it later. I don't know. So we're in chapter 6. Let's look at verses 1 through 3. I'm going to read them together because they go together. And I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were made of brass. So in the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses. Okay, so here's talking about horses, and somebody's coming to see me. So in the first chapter, if you go back to the first chapter of Zechariah, you see horses. So we'll get into this. So let's. I don't know if I'll be able to cover all 3 verses today. I'm gonna do my best. So I may have to sort of do what I can, and then come back and finish it tomorrow. Okay. Right. All right. So here in the first verse there talks about 2 mountains of brass. So this is representing the reality of God's judgment on the nations who attack Israel. So if you look over there right now, Hamas was the one that, I guess, Iran through Hamas maybe, but still they attacked Israel about a year and a half ago on October the 7th. And you know what? These people that come against Israel, it's not going to be good for them, because Israel is God's chosen people, and He's not going to let anything happen to Israel. That's just the fact. Now, yeah, they're going to lose battles. Yeah, people's going to, some of the Israeli people's going to get killed. Yes, but let me tell you, there's always going to be a remnant over there for Israel. And no matter who goes against them, Israel will never be totally defeated. You hear these people all over there in the Middle East wanting to wipe Israel off the map. And they, for years. And it's just not going to happen. Okay? So that's what he's talking about there. So the 2 mountains are probably Mount Zion and the Mount of Olives, where the Lord will return and judge. And so let's look at Zechariah. We'll go move ahead in this verse here. Chapter 14, verse 4 of Zechariah. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. All right, so that's what's going to happen there. Now that is the second coming of Christ. You say, well, Well, I thought the resurrection was the second coming. No, the rapture of the church. I should say. I said resurrection. The rapture of the church. We're gonna meet him in the air. But on the second coming of Christ, he's coming, and that's what it's talking about there. He's putting his feet back on the earth. Okay. Over in the book of Joel, it says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. You know, let's look at Joel chapter 3, verse 12. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. You know what? I'm thankful that I'm going to the judgment seat of Christ. But these people that he's talking about here, it's not good for them. And God doesn't sleep or slumber. He sees everything that's going on over there in the Middle East. And look at all the land. Look at all the land that Israel has given up, trying to make peace. I mean, they're down to somewhere about the size of, I mean, it's not very big. The landmass of Israel. It's not, you could probably stick it, okay, you could probably put it somewhere in the size of North Carolina. And that might be stretching it. I don't know if it's even as big as North Carolina is. Okay? If you look on the map and you see North Carolina and how it's on there, I don't know if it might be the same size, but that's it though. It's not a big landmass over there now. But there's coming a day when Israel is getting all that land back that was promised to them. You know, God promised Abraham. He said, you look out, northwest, east and west. And he says, look, all that you can see, I'm going to give you. And so you think about it over there, and it's fairly flat. You could probably see a long way. But there's coming a day when all that land, they're getting back. So this valley called Jehoshaphat, it means Jehovah judges, could refer to the Kidron Valley between these two mountains. Could be. So Jews, Christians, and even Muslims have long taught that the Last Judgment will be there. So the bronze has a symbolic relationship to judgment, as in the case of the bronze serpent, and or the bronze altar where sin was dealt with by God. Well, we know what the bronze serpent was. Remember, that's where, if I'm not mistaken, the bronze serpent, isn't that what he told Moses to put up on a stick? Lift it up. I got Exodus chapter 27, verse 2. And let's see if I can do it this way. Exodus. I'm going to see if I can go back and do it this way. Exodus 27. Bear with me. All right, 27. Come on. I don't know what's wrong with my thing here. All right. Exodus chapter 27. Look what it says. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the four corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make his, well, that's just going through like the temple and stuff in the temple. Okay. So anyway, but this the thing that they've made here is for judgment. Okay. And so that's all what it's talking about here. All right. All right. So moving on here. So this is the 8th vision of Zechariah. 8th. Number 8. 8th vision. So brass symbolizes judgment, and the number 4 symbolizes universal. What does that tell you? Universal judgment. That's for all. I'm no Bible scholar, but I think that is talking about like the white throne judgment. He's going to come down. He's going to have judgment. And so when you go before the white throne judgment, you know what? That would be, well, only thing we can compare it to would be our Supreme Court in America, they have a lot of power. But still, their judgment isn't righteous because you got Democrats and Republican judges, and they have different opinions and different views and all of this. But the white throne judgment, Jesus Christ is going to be there, and it's going to be righteous judgment. Nobody will be able to say, well, look what all I did for you. It's just not going to work. He's going to say, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. I never knew you. That's what he's going to tell them. The chariots speak of war. Okay, this could be war. Over there in the 21st chapter of Revelation, I think it is. I'm thinking about the Sunday school lesson that's coming up, but I think it's talking about Armageddon over there. It's either in it could be the 20th chapter. I can't remember. I've studied so many things. I've studied so many books here lately, between Zechariah and 2 Thessalonians, 1 John, the book of John, Revelation, and so stuff starts meshing, right? Starts going, if you're commenting, I can't see your comments, so I don't know what the deal is. Hey, thank you for listening and watching, whoever's on there. Whoever's listening, thank you. If you can just give me a thumbs up or something, if I see it, I'll tell you. But well, you know what? These chariots speak of war, and so I'm reminded. That's where my mind went to. It went over there to Armageddon, where I think we're going to be behind Jesus when he's over there in of Armageddon. I think that's how I take it. It could just be the 144,000 Jews. I don't know, but I do know that even if we are there, we're not going to have to do anything. He's going to do it all himself. He says he's going to. The sword's going to come out of his mouth, and he's just, Satan ain't going to be able to do anything about it. And so it's going to be just like that. So we saw how the sins were carried out of Zion and were carried into Babylon, right? They were. They were worshiping false idols. They were doing things that was against God's law. And they got carried out, didn't they? So this is God's judgment on the sinful world. And you can't hide from Him. You know, there's going to be people that's going to be in caves, and they're going to be wishing that the mountains would fall on them, because this is in the tribulation period. They're wanting to die. They're hiding, trying to get away from the presence of the Lord. And so they're going to be hiding in caves, and guess what? You can't get away from Him. You can't hide from Him. He knows where you are. Even today, you can't hide from Him. He will find them out. You know, like it's like your sin, right? You know, people try to hide sin. Well, guess what? It's not going to work, because a little birdie will tell on you. You can read over there in the Bible where it talks about a little birdie that'll tell on you. All right, in verse 2, in the first chariot were red horses, in the second chariot black horses. Okay? So, back in the first vision, back in chapter 1, verse 8, there were horses only with their riders to go to and fro, to inquire, to and fro through the earth, right? Here they are war chariots, a whole lot different. They're chariots now. It's not just horses and a rider. It's chariots. So here they are, war chariots with their horses to execute God's judgments, each in their turn. So this vision may represent the ways of providence in the government of this lower world. Okay, down here, talking about down on earth. Okay. You know, we all know about the providence of God, don't we? You know, like the book of Esther. God's not mentioned in that book, but He's all through the book. And it's all about the providence of God, right? You see Esther, and she goes and, she says, well, maybe it's for such a time as this, right? If I perish, I perish. And you know what? I think that a lot of times, for such a time as this, when things go on in our life, well, look at 9/11. For such a time as this, there was a reason that God let that happen. He could have stopped it. He could have stopped 9/11. He already knew what was going to happen before it happened. And He could have stopped it, but you know what? Men and women, we have free will. We can either do evil or do good, right? So whatever the providences of God are, whatever the providences of God about us are, as to public or private affairs, we should see them all as coming from between the mountains of brass. The immovable counsels and degrees of God. That's right. So it's talking about judgment there. And guess what? His counsels are fixed, and they're not changing. God said He doesn't change. He's the same today, tomorrow, and forever. He's not changing. I don't care who you are, and how important you think you are. Whether it's the President of the United States, you could go and just name people. There's Elon Musk is he's got a lot of money and all that. And we think our president has a lot of power. Really, he don't. Really, he doesn't. He's controlled by the Congress, really. But it doesn't matter who you are, what you have. It doesn't matter. You're going to be judged, and if you've done right, then you're going to have favorable judgment, right? Like all the people that do evil and never accept Christ as their Savior, they're going to be going to the white throne judgment, to where us who are saved, we're going to the judgment seat of Christ and be judged for things we've done in our body, whether they be good or bad. So therefore, reckon it as much our folly to quarrel with them as it is our duty to submit to them. You know what? We're supposed to be a soldier in God's army. And so that means, we know what people in the military go through, right? They're trained, they're disciplined, or they should be, and that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be trained. We're supposed, you can look at it as he's our general, okay? Because they look at generals in our time as these big guys that carries a lot of clout. And so we're in the Lord's army, and so we got orders, okay? So his providences move swiftly and strongly as chariots, but all are directed and governed by his infinite wisdom and sovereign will. You know what? He's going to get his will across, one way or the other. He'll use the lost person to get his will across. Look at what he's doing all throughout the world. Do you not think that he's got a hand in what's going on? And, he really does. But his will's going to get accomplished, one way or the other. No matter what. We can't stop it. Okay? So, the red horses signify war and bloodshed. Well, look around, boy, there's a lot. That's going to be it. Well, just think about it. The Bible tells us that the blood is going to be so deep, it's going to be to the horse's bridle. Think about that. That's deep. Now, you think a horse stands, about 6 feet tall or something like that? However tall a horse is. And it's going to be to the bridle. The black signify the dismal consequences of war, famines, pestilences, and desolations. Okay? Look at Revelation chapter 6, verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Think about that. So the black horses speak of troublesome times and mourning. You know what? There's going to be a lot of that in that day, in the tribulation period. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 and 6. And when he had opened the third seal, I worked outside today, and oh boy. He says, when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So this is the time of God's wrath upon the sinful of the earth. It's not going to be a pretty sight. People truly believe that they're going to go through the tribulation. They're going to go through the tribulation period and come out the other end and go to heaven. Now, some people will come out of tribulation, okay? But the people who rejected Christ before the rapture of the church, it's over for them. They're going to take the mark of the beast, and they're going to believe the strong delusion. They're going to believe that lie, they're going to take the mark of the beast, and they're going to die and go to hell. That's just fact, okay? But there are going to be people in the tribulation period. They'll be saved. That's where those 144,000 Jews come in at. They're going to be going all over the earth proclaiming the gospel. It is just before the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ as King of kings and Lord of lords. Right? Right before. It's in that tribulation period. So, all right. So we'll pick it back up there with verse 3 tomorrow. All right. My time is come and gone. I thank you for coming on, even though, my internet went out, had an outage. I don't know what happened. And then it come back on, but I thank you for coming on and listening and watching. I can't see your comments. I don't know who's on. It says 3 people. So you know who you are. I'll see your comments after I cut this off. Then I'll see the comments. Whatever reason, but so anyway, but you don't know how much it pleases me for you to come on and listen to me. I don't think I'm anything special. I'm just trying to follow the leadership of the Lord. And you know what? I don't think of myself as some super spiritual person, because I'm not. I'm a man. You know what? And I put my pants on like anybody else does, one leg at a time. All right. And I'm just thankful that the Lord has chosen me, and that He lets me do these podcasts, these videos, because I'm telling you, without Him I could not do it, because it's only by His grace and His knowledge that I do this, by the Holy Ghost, by the Holy Spirit. So I thank Him. All right. So Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow at 4. All right. And we'll pick it back up there with verse 3. All right. Thanks for listening and watching. I hope you have a great rest of your night. May God bless you.